Welcome to another edition of the Unconquered Podcast Film Session. For this one, we're going to be looking at the Florida State Georgia Tech game, the beginning of the first quarter. I'll be doing a separate one from the second part of the first quarter after the delay. That should be posting around the same time. As always, usually trying to get this out pretty early. This time was not able to get that to work out simply because of the birth of my child. So apologies for this being a little later than normal, but hopefully still beneficial for everybody. So let's get rolling here and take a look at what we got going here. So first things first, you can go ahead and take a look at one of the things again. I'm just so pleased to see this is disciplined kick coverage. Now, first of all, I would like to see the kick be just a little wider. I don't like kicking down the middle this much. I don't like it on the hash. Really, ideally, if you're a special teams coach, you want this ball to be caught around the numbers. And if your guy can't quite locate it on the numbers, between the numbers and the hash, that's pretty much perfect. That allows your coverage unit usually the best case scenario. But either way, they're trying to set up a left return. What I really like here, look at everybody in their lanes and showing discipline. One other thing, look, no one goes behind the ball. That's a big point of emphasis for good special teams coaches, is that you never want to see on kick returns these guys end up running behind the ball this way and trailing up. You want to see everybody hitting their lanes, and then as the guy redirects, you shuffle and you run angles just like you would with a defensive play. Lars Woodby here is a great example of this. Instead of taking off down here, you can see he's a second layer defender here. He's basically a linebacker in how they're doing this. But he's shuffling and scraping so that regardless of where he pops, he's in good position. And you can see, again, don't get behind the ball. I'm also really pleased by Renardo Green here. First of all, look at him taking off. He's one of the missiles, as they call it, in kick return or in kick coverage. You have a couple guys that are designated as your fast guys to get down there first, and you have a little bit less lane responsibility as a missile, and your job is just to get there and make the guy have to redirect, and if you can make the tackle, even better. But look at him beating the block. He's getting held here, actually. Beats the block, beats another block, launches in there and gets his hands on the leg, and then crawls and then gets back up and then manages to pull him down. That's a heck of a defensive play, heck of an individual play, and he deserves to flex and do everything possible after that, because that's exactly what you want on special teams. It's a really, really good play. So Jeff Sims again coming in, and again here is the basic bench front from the Fuller defense. And again, I just do not like that they're starting Janarius Robinson at the Fox position. I'll spend more time on that a little bit later in the one on the post delay video. But basically, you've got your 3 technique, your defensive tackle to the boundary, and your 1 technique, your nose tackle to the field, and that allows you to keep your backers rotated a little bit more to the field as well, and you can treat this end as more of a hybrid. He can be a little bit less sizable in run support because he's got some help from the big 3 technique there. So here we've got Jones as the field corner, and it looks to me like most of this game they actually went right-left rather than field and boundary all the time at corner. There were times where they just went right and left. They did move him a little bit, but it's interesting to see how that went. The safeties definitely went boundary and field. So here you've got your boundary safety with Lars Woodby and your field safety with Renardo Green. So that's what you got. And then you've got, again, worth noting that Deloach actually started the game rather than Gainer. I would like to see Gainer starting the game right there. So first play is an RPO here, and they're keying on Deloach here, and Deloach just this is not a good play from Deloach, to be honest. He's coming in way too early here. He's reading this little power blocking, and he's coming up, but he's got to hold this just a little longer to hold against the glance route, because the safety, they're in basic quarters coverage here. The safety has to has this picked up, and the safety has to jump in a little earlier as well. Green has got too much cushion here, but this could have gone for a really big play had this been a well-thrown ball. But this is just way too easy. You'd like to see Deloach muddy this just a little longer, hold there for just a split second longer, and then attack. And then Green needs to close this down a little bit more to make sure that doesn't turn into a big play. But that could have, had that been thrown just a little bit more in stride and a little higher, he might still be running. A little too soft in coverage, and that was a bit of a pattern in this game. So here's something that I think they overthought what they did up front. You see this twist here? I think if they just told their guys to get upfield and make plays, so ends beat your guys to the edge, tackles just get upfield, I think they probably end up getting more pressure on the quarterback. But this is a good example of, first of all, this is terrible technique from Kaindoh here. So Kaindoh is supposed to get upfield a little bit and then let the defensive tackle take both blockers and then come right tight off his butt. And he should be coming on this angle right here. Bend that right to the quarterback. You cannot take that extra step wide. See how he steps upfield this way? That step needed to be right there, real tight to the butt. And if he's able to do that and then bend, he's getting in at the quarterback. Instead, he's running fully around here. That's just not enough. So the difference is he's right there at the throw because he basically has run an extra 2 yards. Well, if he's 2 yards closer because he came in the proper angle, he's right in here. And he's not getting this throw off comfortably. Same problem up at the top, but not quite as bad in terms of technique. This is Janarius trying to get over top. The problem is he comes tighter, but happens to trip over his feet and then gets buried. So this stunt, which is designed to free those ends, ends up doing the opposite. It ends up taking the ends out, and you get no pressure and an easy completion in front of Deloach. And they ran this little mesh play to death. And interestingly, more often than not, they didn't actually throw to the shallow crosser. They actually threw to the screener, the mesher. And that's because he was able to post up in front of the match coverage here from the stud linebacker. And that's just, it's easy. It's an easy throw. When you're not getting pressure, it's an easy throw. And this was maybe one of the most disappointing things in this game. You're supposed to be elite on the defensive line, and it's 4th and 1. You need to win this play. How much push do you see from? So there's the line of scrimmage. You've got Marvin Wilson. You've got, who is that? Is that, that's Lovett and Wilson here. You've got to have Marvin Wilson and Lovett reset that line of scrimmage past where it is. Instead, where's the line of scrimmage? Those guys went backwards. Look at Marvin Wilson. His helmet is back on the 40. Lovett, his helmet is right between the 39 and the 40. Those guys got pushed back. And then Kaindoh is right here up against this H-back. You've got, look, if you're a defensive end that looks like this, there is no way that you should ever be single blocked, let alone drive blocked by an H-back that looks like this. Look at this right here. Kaindoh takes on that block, and it's a stalemate. He never gets off the block. So that's 3 guys, essentially, to your play side here that all get stood up and driven by the offensive front, including your stud defensive end getting single blocked by an H-back. That is unacceptable from your defensive front. Now, even with that, now this is an RPO, by the way. He's reading Deloach here. So Deloach stays a little bit, and he goes ahead and hands it off. But even with that, if Deloach attacks here right now and makes this tackle right there, this doesn't fit. But Deloach is wrong foot here. You've got to be driving off of the near leg, near shoulder, and instead he's driving off of the far leg into the near shoulder. You lose all leverage, and that gets forward for a first down. It's just poor technique across the board here, and this is a big rebuild in that sense for these various players, and for this staff to be able to get these players to actually do what they're supposed to do. It's really frustrating. And the thing is, if Sims had actually kept this, which he might not have had the option to do because this is actually an RPO. It's a runner pass situation. But this could have been a first down, throwing it out here too. There's really not a whole lot going on good from the defensive side here. Just personnel-wise, that's frustrating. And here we go, 2nd and 3. Got a 7-yard gain on the prior play. Skipped it in the condensed version here that I'm using. And once again, this is where Kaindoh is flowing with his job. You've got to see a better job by the backer here, taking on this block in the proper gap. And that's just, I'm sorry, but this is really bad from the boundary safety. Breaks down and just flat out whiffs. First of all, this is the wrong angle. He overruns it. He should be coming inside. He should be coming outside in here and sticking the shoulder right through him right there, coming outside in, instead of overrunning it and then trying to arm tackle. He's got to put his shoulder right through him, but you cannot overrun your gap. He's the secondary A here, and he's got to hit that. And this becomes a big play instead of a tackle for loss because you have backer overrun it. You have backer gets too far, too much depth. He's got to come flatter and trip him up earlier, and he's got to hit that. These guys are all a little bit out of their gaps. And if Lars Woodby just hits that gap a little bit better, this is a nothing. It's a 1 yard loss, maybe to a 1 yard gain, depending on how quickly he goes down. You can see it from this angle. Lars Woodby is coming up in support, and his support is right to here. He's the secondary A since you've got the puller. And he should be coming from here. And you got to stay under control, work from here over. And Warner gets a little bit overflowed. He's got to get downhill right now, and he should be meeting this block. Instead of getting quite as wide, he's got to meet this block here. Trigger downhill a little bit more, and that closes down that gap. So he should be triggering and hitting it right here so that shuts that gap down and makes it easier on Lars Woodby. Instead, Lars Woodby has a big hole to actually handle. This is a lot for one player to handle because this is too wide. He should be taking this on right now, and that should be closed down. But Lars Woodby needs to be hugging this tight and coming outside in and making contact. Instead, overflows, overruns it. You can see he's still maybe not all of 100% in terms of his ability to change direction here. And you got to make this tackle. Just looked slow and not athletic enough there from a couple positions. This is okay defensively. Durden is okay here. Now this is poor from Griffiths. Griffiths is dropping here. His job is to drop. Oh, come on. Excuse me. computer problems and voice problems all at once. Different week, I might edit this out. So, Griffiths, as the Fox here, is supposed to drop into the flat, and he's going to have contain on anything coming outside, and this is just not good enough from Griffiths. You see him stepping inside. He has to keep that outside arm free because he's responsible for this screen leaking out, and you see he lets the offensive lineman get his hands on him. That ball's beyond the line of scrimmage, so that's not, technically speaking, legal. But he's got to be right here. Instead, he gets pushed into the backers. The backer has to run over the top, and then he's not exactly great in space. And you can see the athletic limitations that Griffiths has here. I mean, he's strong, but he's not going to run a whole lot of people down. That's not a traditional Florida State edge player in terms of speed. But if he plays this correctly, instead of leaking inside, instead of working inside a little bit, if he plays this with just a little bit better leverage and trusts that his teammate's going to have that gap inside, then he's going to be able to basically hit this right as the back. Right now, he should be coming up as the back is catching it, and boom, that's a hit. Instead, he's trailing behind, and he's not fast enough to make up that angle, and now you have a guy with a tackle way downfield. It's just not very good. Now, granted, this is a true freshman playing in his first game, no spring practice, but athletically speaking, that's not great. Also, Lars Woodby, you see the angle here that he's taking. It's not bad, but again, I don't like that he allows himself to get blocked away from this. Not great. Not great from anybody in terms of this defensively. This is rough. And that's kind of a half effort from Durden, in my view, to go up and try to get your hands on that. I want to see him watching that ball and really trying to push to get it. A little better from Kando there in terms of getting closer to getting off the block. But again, if you are being blocked by an H-back, this should be a matter of pride for a defensive end. You can't allow him to block you even that long. You got to win with your hands right now. You got to be off that, and you got to bully that guy. But again, look at how little they're actually getting off of blocks here. See Marvin Wilson? This is just not good. Nothing on the backside. And that's not a great offensive line, guys. This right here is why Florida State lost this game more than anything else. When your studs don't outperform a below average unit on their side, you got problems. So here's one of the best things that we saw on the day, and this is that the back seven actually properly passed routes off and used match coverage principles. Now this is where I'm a little frustrated because Asante Samuel had 2 pick six opportunities. This is one where if he just runs this wider, dude, you are a defensive back. He can't catch you if you just run more to the sideline. He's going to get at least 30 or 40 more yards out of this. And it was even worse on the second interception where he could have had a chance to get a block there, and he missed it. But what I really like about this is you can see Samuel here. He sees his guy go to the post, or go to the curl, that is. And when you see that curl, if you're the outside player in quarters, they're in read here. This is quarters read. You're passing that off to the safety, and you're expecting a wheel. This is basic pattern match coverage. You see him come inside, you go in, and you start to look for the outside route because you've seen him go out. And this is how match coverage works. You're reading your receiver's release, which is a vertical release, and then you're reading through your receiver to watch number 2 to see what kind of release he has. And you see vertical, out. So outside release, vertical, which means now I've got this guy and I'm passing him off. This is excellent work hold him long enough to pass him off. I'd like to see the safety play a little bit closer here. It's a little bit more cushion than I'd like from the field safety there. But overall, from Samuel, that's ideal. And last year, this was something that I criticized the corners for a lot, and it had to do with some of how they were coached. Last year, the corners did a terrible job of passing stuff off, and they tended to run with it, and they were just wheels 8 Florida State up last year, the wheel route. This year, this appears to be a problem that's been fixed by the current staff. So here you've got a chance. If he just, this is so frustrating, if he just takes this angle and works all the way down that way to the sideline, the only guy that's going to have a chance at him is going to be the quarterback. Oh, come on. Only guy that's going to have a chance at him is back here. Actually, no, he's right here. He's going to score. If he just takes that angle and runs through the hash and makes these guys chase him more, there you go. The other thing that drives me crazy, block the most dangerous now. Don't run in front of him. Don't point at a guy. Block him. If he blocks him, he can take that angle and still score. So both of these guys, it's just frustrating. You've got a chance to score. Take it. And that's a terrible throw. Terrible decision. So then you come out and you see this little unbalanced look. I like this look from Florida State. It's actually technically correct. They're not unbalanced up front, but in terms of the balance of the formation, you have 2 guys who are on the line of scrimmage on this side. So he's ineligible. And then you've got the bunch. So this is adding an extra 2 gaps to this side. In the running game. This is fun from Norvell, and you're going to see him doing a lot of these games, playing a lot of these games to try to gain a gap on the defense if the defense misaligns just slightly. Terry needs to do just a little bit better getting to that block. This is a combo where you want to see him get his hand there, push down just a little bit, and then get to that block. If he's able to get right there, then you're able to get your 1 and your 2. That's the block that is going to spring you. Terry misses the block. Warren Thompson doesn't do a great job. And you've got a chance. Man, if either of those guys if those two guys make their blocks, this play could have scored. But again, just little things. It's the little things that drive you crazy if you are Mike Norvell. Now, this is the replay on the 4 verts. And they're running 4 verts from 3 to the boundary. So this is formation into the boundary with a back to the boundary as well. So you only have 1 receiver over here, and you're testing how they're going to match up to 4 potential receivers on one side of the field. This is hard. This is hard on a defense. And what they're going to do is a lot of times in 4 verts, this guy's actually going to come across the field more, and you're going to have him kind of come inside. In this case, they're actually going to run it more like more as a 4 verts to directly aimed at getting this tight end the ball by forcing the safety to play over the top of the slot. And now you're going to get the Mike one-on-one with your guy. And this is a pretty good throw from Blackman. He gives him a chance by throwing him away from the opposite safety and away from the trail defender. Good adjustment here. And they coach and rep this a ton. I love the way that Norvell coaches 4 verts. It's mostly geared toward getting back shoulder throws. And on this one, they actually have a deep out on this side. That's your check down on this. But basically, you're looking for this to be a back shoulder throw the whole way. Throws him open. Nice catch. Maybe the best hands on the team, actually, from 87 here. Cam, I think, probably does have the best hands on the team. But I like that location. It's an even better catch. And then this is vintage Norvell. Make it easy on your quarterback. Standard little roll, sprint out, and put it in drop a play that he doesn't have to throw a perfect ball. Super easy. And all of a sudden you're feeling pretty good about yourself. is about as good a start as you could have offensively for Florida State. Unfortunately, it's almost all the offense that we saw in that game. So again, you can see here they're protecting on the back. No leakage. Again, they've done a much better job in this game. They do a much better job in terms of not allowing free rushers, not allowing a lot of leakage. Better play overall from the offensive line as a unit. And then these are just rub routes. So get inside. Just make sure that you're actually running a route. Cause enough of a collision here as they're running man-to-man over the top. And they're trying to pass this off. It's yours. Up, too late. And that makes it easy. Still not a well-thrown ball, but touchdown. Nicely done. And that is where we'll go ahead and wrap up because I'll pick up with another video. This is the beginning of the period after the rain delay, and I'll go ahead and post another video with that.